Welcome back to the show. You might remember we had this contest going, I think it was last week, Lewis, I don't remember exactly, or 2 weeks ago at this point, where we were giving away the opportunity to interview us on the show for a member who signed up. I think it was by March 15th, was it not? Am I remotely close on this?
I think so.
And Greg Zimmerman is that winner. So he's actually joining us now. It's great to see and talk to Greg. First of all, Greg, thanks for being a member and supporting the show. How did you originally hear about the show?
Well, I came across it on Free Speech TV. I didn't actually watch it there, but I saw the name and I heard about it. And then later, last year at some point, one of your videos was recommended on YouTube. As I was watching a Young Turks video, one of yours came up. So I had heard of you, so I watched it, and I was quite entertained and continued watching from then on.
Was it a video where somebody from Westboro Baptist Church was insulting me, or was it... there's kind of two categories of video. There's that, and then there's everything else.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was one of those. I think the topic just matched up, and that's why it was recommended. And it was, but I don't remember what it was, but I think that was it.
All right, well, good enough. Well, listen, ask away whatever you want to know. I will do my best to answer. Producer Lewis is here. He's eager to answer questions as well, so let's have at it.
Great. Well, the first question I have, I guess it's for you, David, that since young people are notorious for not paying attention or being involved in the political process, what was it that got you involved at such a young age? Was there an event or something that sparked the interest in you?
It was kind of like the perfect storm of boredom, confusion, and just pure chance, I guess. I mean, honestly, I got into politics, I think it was towards the end of high school, right, Lewis, where there was the George Bush, Al Gore race that ended up taking who knows how many months to figure out who won.
Yeah.
And I kind of got into politics that way. And then it was more just that I wanted to start a radio show, and I didn't want to do a sports show, only because I didn't know enough about sports, even though I followed it. And I didn't want to just be a DJ, so it was like, I guess if I'm going to do politics, I need to learn more. I mean, with Lewis, I don't even know that Lewis is into politics now. It's not even clear. I think we're still waiting on him to get interested.
That's not the craziest thing you've ever said.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the answer. It wasn't really planned. It just kind of happened, you know?
Well, Lewis, also, you're very jaded about the political process, as just mentioned. Is there an ideal political system out there that would get you to care and get you to participate?
Oh, man, that is complicated.
That's a good question, though. I mean, what would it take, Lewis?
What would it take? First of all, it would take major campaign finance reform.
Oh, boy.
To the point where, I mean, I hate to say it, to the point where people you've never heard of are on the ballot, right? I also, as crazy as it sounds, I think it's absolutely ridiculous to have these parties. I think it's completely ridiculous to have a Democratic Party and a Republican Party.
But should there be more parties or no parties at all?
I don't think there should be any parties.
Ah, okay. So
and
but
considering
Lewis,
how many voters think they're Republican or think they're Democratic and don't even realize that they're the opposite, I don't think it's helping at all.
Well, the thing is, if you have no parties, people would actually have to look and see what each candidate stands for. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They're lazy.
I know they don't want to do that, but I mean, if things are going to change, they're going to have to do that.
All right. Well, it seems like a tall order from producer Lewis, don't you think, Greg?
Yeah. You mentioned the Westboro Baptist Church before. By having those people on the show, you must have felt there was some worthwhile knowledge or information to be gained from them. What did you want your audience to learn by talking to them? Because they seem like real crazy, almost people that should be in mental institutions, you know, somewhere. What was it that you wanted your audience to learn by talking to them and giving them airtime?
Yeah, I mean, I get asked about this all the time, and it's really a pretty good question. I mean, and usually the harsher question is, aren't you giving these people a platform? Wouldn't they just go away if you didn't interview them? I mean, I think, Lewis, that's more commonly the question we get, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my point of view on this is the following. there's a broad range of opinions out there, and a lot of times looking at the extremes gives context to more reasonable discussions, right? So there's people who may be slightly apart on the issue of gay rights, and then I think it actually is a good idea to know that that's not where the conversation ends. There's actually much further extremes that exist to either, with the issue of gay rights at least, it's way to the right. So I mean, I think we're doing two things on the show, Greg. One is I do want people to hear about that these views do exist, and we can't really live in a fantasy world where everybody is just reasonable and you're dealing with people that can think logically all the time. But the other side of it is we do want to do an entertaining show, right? I mean, for what it's worth, if the show's not compelling in some way, people won't watch. So I think having people like the Westboro people on as one of many components on the show helps to keep things interesting. And, you know, I think it's been accurate over time, right, Lewis, if we look at what people seem to enjoy, that's on the show.
Right. I think you can look at most shows like ours, and at some point you will see guests that are there, I don't want to say solely for entertainment value, but you know, there are those people out there. And right now I'm doing some comments on the Ann Coulter segment we did yesterday. And I think she is borderline one of those people who no one really takes seriously, but because of the shocking things she says and because she's attractive, she has very high entertainment value.
Wait a second. Ann Coulter, you find Ann Coulter attractive?
In general, I mean, I would say that there aren't many people that look like her doing what she does.
Wow. I'm stunned that Lewis, this is the biggest revelation so far. Lewis finds Ann Coulter attractive. This is incredible, Greg.
I'm not attracted to her. I mean, she's not ugly.
You're not attracted to her. But she's attractive.
You think she's ugly?
I mean, you know what? When I see her, I can't stop looking at what appears to be an Adam's apple.
Greg, what do you think?
There's something attractive about her.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, we've got about a minute left. Give me your last question.
All right, the last question is, it's kind of a pet issue of mine. I've lived all my life in the shadow of 3 Mile Island, which had, you know, the nuclear partial meltdown in '79, I think it was. But I've never had a problem with nuclear power, and it hasn't really been a big issue in this area. But it seems among progressives, it's a real big issue to eliminate nuclear power altogether. Isn't there a place amongst progressives for advancing the industry and not just eliminating it, working with scientific advancements like thorium fuel that virtually eliminates all of the problems that progressives have with uranium-fueled nuclear power?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree generally with what you're saying. I mean, on nuclear power, I'm really kind of split. Every time on the show, we kind of say, you know, nuclear power can be much safer, and the technology has advanced significantly, etc. I get reamed out by people. And then when I take the complete anti-nuclear power view for the sake of a devil's advocate in some segments, people will start emailing me saying, hey, wait a second, you're completely dismissing the fact that it's at least progress in terms of getting off of at least dirty oil, right? I mean, I think you're right, Greg, which is that I don't think nuclear power is the ideal long-term solution for the world's energy. However, if it creates a transition that is cleaner and safer than the things we have now, reduces dependence on foreign sources of oil, I'm not just dead set against using nuclear power. I mean, what do you think about this, Lewis? We've talked extensively with a friend of ours who works at a nuclear power plant about this.
Yeah, I stated that I think nuclear power is absolutely essential for us.
Oh, boy.
And I think everyone is just terrified that there's going to be some type of meltdown. And every time there has been a meltdown or an accident, it was because the companies who constructed these places did things they shouldn't have. They cut corners a little bit, and they didn't plan for every disaster that might happen, every eventuality.
Well, the argument to be made against that is you can't possibly plan for every, because the ones that will happen are the ones you haven't thought of.
No. When you live on the shore of Japan, near Tokyo, You know there are earthquakes, you know there are tsunamis, you know these things can happen, and they didn't do enough to protect against that. So I think on top of that, you need to have the government making sure that these companies are doing the proper things.
So
to
what you're
ensure
talking
safety.
about is you would be more comfortable with nuclear power if there were hyper-government regulation of nuclear power.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I mean, what do you think of that, Greg? Is Lewis off base here?
I think I agree with him more so. I think it can be done in a lot better way. We're working with old technology. We're just trying to put band-aids on the reactors that we've got now instead of looking to the future, in my opinion.
All right. Well, great questions, Greg. We've been speaking with Greg Zimmerman, a David Pakman Show member, the winner of the Interview the Staff contest, Lewis. Congratulations, Greg. Really, thanks again for doing this, and thanks for your support.
You're welcome. Keep it up.